and young men vaccinated, and HPV is, as far as we know, the only way to prevent it, right? What do you know about that?
No, I mean, cervical cancer in our lifetime could be eradicated.
That's right.
Australia has almost 100% eradicated cervical cancer by vaccinating 100% of their boys and girls by the age of 11. And I think I get frustrated, very frustrated, even in conversations, casual conversations with other parents. You know, I'm blessed with twin boys, they were 20 months old when I was going through my cancer treatment, and I was blessed to have children before that, where I lost the ability to. But it's really frustrating to me to see that stigma put. And you're literally telling me there's a vaccine that can cure a cancer that your children will be susceptible to, and you're choosing not to do that. And that makes me really frustrated.
Well, we need to create a much bigger public awareness of it again, because when it first came out, there was a lot of attention paid, and then there was blowback, political blowback, and some states and some areas saying, oh, you know, we're not going to do that, and all the reasons that they put forth. But it will prevent it. It doesn't even cure it. It prevents it. You don't get the cancer. And there's just not very many cancers that you can say that about. So it's really important to bring that back to public attention, which I certainly will do, and look to people like you to help make that case and answer some of the misconceptions and the fears that people have about it.
The question behind you.
Yeah.
Hi, again. When my son started elementary school, I asked his teacher how they deal with lockdown drills. And she showed me a little piece of red construction paper that they taped on the window. And she said the kids go in the corner and they have to be really quiet. In case of an unexpected visitor.
Right.
And then I asked my son, you know, what do you do? You know, what kind of drills do you do at school? And he said, you know, we did this tornado drill, and I knew they had a lockdown drill. And he said, we do. I said, what really is a lockdown drill? And he said, we do it and we hide in the corner, and you have to be really quiet in case of an unexpected visitor. But what really got me was he said, has an unexpected visitor ever come to school before? And will one come to my school? And as a mom, like, I don't know. I don't know how to answer him.
Right.
And it terrifies me. You know, it's really just so scary in the wake of pain.
Yeah.
So what answers do I tell my children?
I don't know that there are any good answers, because it's just so terrifying, and it's so heartbreaking to think that you have to have that conversation with your children. I've gotten to know a number of the Sandy Hook parents, and I am just, you know, heart-wrenched every time I'm with them. And some of them are really trying to take actions that they hope will save other families from going through what they did. Some of them, as you may know, are suing the gun maker for the way that the gun, it's an AR-15, it's an automatic gun, the way it was marketed, and the way it was basically marketed as a tool of war whose purpose is killing people, basically, right? Now, they're trying to bring this lawsuit to rein in what I agree was pretty reckless behavior. But they're up against this law that was passed that gave gun makers and sellers immunity from liability for their actions. It's the only industry in America where that has been provided. And I voted against it when I was in the Senate. Senator Sanders voted for it. If you've seen any of our debates, you know we have quite an argument about it. But it really bothers me. I mean, why would you pick one industry, one whose unfortunate effects at this point are that we have 33,000 people a year dying from gun violence? So I think that it's always hard to know what to say to your children, but and it depends upon their age, obviously, But I think, saying that, sometimes, there can be some bad people who might want to come to your school, but your teachers and your principal are going to protect you, but you have to do exactly what they say. And the chances are very slim, but because, unfortunately, it's not the only place it has happened. At Sandy Hook, we've had too many incidents that have cost people their lives in many different settings. I think trying to reassure your child, but also to say, it's like when you say, don't go near strangers, don't get in people's cars. Sometimes a bad person might come to your school, and so you have to do what your teachers tell you to do. That would be the best that I can think of, because it's just so it's unimaginable. It's beyond, and when people say, well, comprehensive background checks and all the rest of that might not have prevented the killer at Sandy Hook from getting the gun, I think it's not just the laws we need to pass, which I do think will save lives, but it's going after the gun culture and saying to parents, because that poor, disturbed murderer is not the only person whose family gave him a gun. The mother gave guns to this man, and either she didn't know or was not aware or dismissed warnings about someone who is that antisocial, someone who internet searches are that troubling, should not have an arsenal. And so we've got to do a better job, in addition to the laws, which are supported by 90% of Americans and 80% of gun owners. We've got to do a better job sort of dealing with the gun culture and dealing with the kinds of attitudes we're now seeing where people reach for guns to solve their problems. And it's never solved anybody's problem. It's only made more heartbreak and bloodshed. So I think we all have to talk about that. But with respect to your son's school, that's the only way I know of how to handle it. But to reassure him that, that the teachers and he doesn't need to worry about it. The teachers and the principal are going to take care of it. Because what can you say other than that? Yeah.
We have time. I'm sorry. We have time for one more question.
Well, the gentleman to my right and his son get the last question.
Well, thank you. And we've touched on a lot of different topics. This is one issue that's more regional here, based in the DMV, D.C., Maryland, Virginia area: transportation and our infrastructure. Luckily I work at a company, WGL Washington Gas, where they're very open, where I can leave early to rush back to Ashburn, pick up Gabriel, take him to the baseball games, or et cetera. So what are some of your thoughts on improving our infrastructure, our public transportation? Because we've seen the last few years, we've seen bridges collapse in Pittsburgh, Minnesota. I remember a couple of years ago when people literally the bridge collapsed, people were on the bridge and you could see the cars diving into the lake underneath there. So what are some of your thoughts or initiatives to improve public transportation and roads in our region and across the country? Yes, especially. We need it fast. As Metro is just slowly starting to come out here. We're not even having it until 2018, 2019, and there's still even issues now with the system where they're doing a slow stoppage to replace some of the old parts and
Right.
So.
Well, this is another one of these issues that we just have to take head on. I'm a very strong supporter of infrastructure spending, federal, state, local government, private sector spending, because we are woefully behind, and we are skirting danger in so many places. I mean, the civil engineers' annual assessment always fails us as a nation because of all the bridges that are in bad repair, the roads that are, costing commuters hundreds of dollars because of the bumpiness and the potholes and all the rest of it. So I have a robust infrastructure plan because, number one, it's really needed. Roads, bridges, tunnels, ports, airports, mass transit. There's no doubt that we are losing money. We're losing our competitive advantage because we haven't kept up with our infrastructure. People's, their commute time is way too long, and it's unproductive time, and we don't have the alternatives available in most parts of the country. So I've put forth an infrastructure plan that would be a predominantly federal government plan, but which would be set up to work in conjunction with what I call a national infrastructure bank. Because what we need is to have constant investments. And I hope that the Congress becomes more cooperative in dealing with what are national challenges, like infrastructure. And I would like to add to what they finally passed. They passed about a $275 billion 5-year plan. I'd like to add, because we're a couple $1 trillion behind. And we need to get much more investment in public transit. Now, the problem has been, I was on this committee when I was in the Senate. It's called the Environment and Public Works Committee. And many parts of the country, they drive long distances. They are very car dependent. So the idea of supporting mass transit in Northern Virginia, or mass transit on the East Coast, or mass transit in, from LA to San Francisco, and some of the other places that are really open to and embracing of mass transit, was a little bit counterintuitive for them, because all they were interested in was roads. But I think now we're finally seeing a greater constituency for transit of all kinds. Rail transit, high-speed rail transit, fixing Amtrak, looking at some of the public-private partnerships that are being formed. And that's what I would like to do, and to work with your officials, both